What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from SRL F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. This is Season 5, Round 17 here at Mexico. And it is Possibility Championship Day, depending on where Nick Van Gelder and Tim Ventic finish in the running order. That being said, Nick Van Gelder needs to score 4 or more points today in order to stay within contention of the championship, which is highly unlikely given the pace that Tim Ventic has had all season. And coming off of last week's race at round 16 in Baku, Tim Ventic walked away with his 5th win of the season. Overall, it was his 10th podium finish of the season. Not only that, but he had a pole position as well to add to his tally. Now, he hasn't been a strong pole finisher. He's got 4 pole positions, but it was his first one since round 6 at Monaco. Other than that, it's been mostly a Luke Mathiasen show, and Nick Van Gelder has been showing some speed in the second half of the season, but Tim Ventic picking up his 4th pole position of the year with his 5th win. Cameron Weston-Edwards made a comeback from last week. First time we've seen him in a long time. Came home second. It was his 4th podium overall. And Jenson Randall came home with his 2nd podium finish of the season and his 2nd one in a row. Sam Brandt had a great run to 4th, while Nick Van Gelder came home 5th. Sandro Dulius was 6th. Dion Stahl was 7th. And Alex Benerichetti, your Season 2 Formula 1 champion, made his epic comeback last week at Baku. Came home 8th. Robin Herderstegen was 9th. And Colin Higgins was 10th. That rounded out your top 10 points-paying positions. Reese March was 11th. Jurgen Marusic was 12th. And then Luke Mathiasen, who's shown a lot of speed all year and can be a championship contender possibly going forward in next season, showed a little bit of rage quit last week when he got taken out on turn 2 on lap 1. Promptly called it quits. So his car went AI. His car was credited with 13th place. And then 14th through 17th was Foods Van Houten, Jan Holmes, Salim Haddad, and Brian Power. They were all DNFs. And unfortunately, that was Salim Haddad's 3rd DNF in a row. Jan Holm with his league-leading 11th DNF of the season. Brian Power, 8th DNF. And Foods Van Houten, who hasn't made all the races this year, with his 2nd DNF of the season. And we run down to the driver lineup for today's Mexico Grand Prix. SRL Sam is Sam Brandt in the Haas. Tim Ventic, your championship points leader in the Renault. Reese March will be in the other Haas. And then we've got PTRL Ivan Brito making his comeback in the Alfa Romeo. Haven't seen him in quite a few rounds. Good to see him back in SRL. Hopefully he'll be able to finish out the season with us. Sandro Dulius will be in the factory Ferrari. Brian Power in the Racing Point with his teammate Robin Herderstegen. Dion Stahl is going to be in the other factory Ferrari. Jurgen Marusic in the Red Bull. Adrav 18 is in the Toro Rosso. I'm not 100% sure who that is. I'll get clarification on that in a second. Jenson Randall in the Mercedes. GTSV Yannick, that is Yannick Verpaten in the McLaren. Alexito Benet, that's Alex Benerichetti in the other Alfa Romeo. Nick Van Gelder in the Red Bull. Colin Higgins is in the factory Renault. Luke Mathiasen in the Williams. And then I am KAMIKAZE-FOX, along with my cat Robbie in the booth, bringing you today's action. And we've got a couple of guys on the live chat. Nick Van Gelder, Yannick Verpaten checking in. Hopefully Yannick has better luck this race than he did last week in the SRL GT3 race at Bathurst. 1.2 hours of Bathurst last week was pretty entertaining race all the way around. It was a big win for SRL Sam. Sam Brandt with a long-awaited win in SRL. It's been a long time since he's won in Formula 1, and he was able to walk away with the 1.2 hours of Bathurst win in Project Cars 2. It was a huge day for him. I managed to come home 5th. Nick Van Gelder was 4th, and I don't remember the rest of the running order, but I do remember that Sam won, and that was the most important thing. It was good to hear the elation of his voice when he came across that line. Got a lot of guys hyped for today's race here at Mexico. And I want to see here if I can get Grand Prix of Mexico. Past winners here. Season 3 was Bart Nadelda. Last year, Season 4, it was Nick Van Gelder. And see if I can get some clarification on yes, Andrade 18. That is the Italian. That is Andrea La Atrella, which Andrea is apparently a male name in Italy, and that's really a female name here in America, so that'll be interesting. Andrea La Atrella. Damn Italians and their weird names. Just gonna call him Andrea. Robbie, what? What is so important that you must sit here and talk to me? So we're going to do an 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race here at Mexico. Last season's winner, Nick Van Gelder, needs to score 4 or more points in order to stay in contention with Tim Ventic to try and keep his hopes alive for this championship. Now, mathematically, he's the only driver in contention, but the points gap is very well off. I'm not 100% sure what the points table is right now. I did not get that information, and I have a cat on my lap that I am unable to move because he is stubborn. Looks like we got one of the Mercedes going out here. Ow, take your claws out of my leg. And it looks like that was Jensen Randall, the first car out. Looks like a lot of drivers are going to be taking the softs today. Ivan Brito just switched over to the softs. So right now, the only driver that's got mediums possibly fitted is Betterichetti. Otherwise, everybody else looks like they're coming out on the soft tires. With Jensen Randall coming off of 2 podium finishes in a row. Round 16 at Baku, and then round 15 in Monza, both third-place finishes. So he's definitely showing some flashes of speed here late. Could be a contender for the race win. And it looks like we did have LR Luke 95. That is Luke Mathiasen. Looks like he did join late. So going to be 16 drivers for today's Grand Prix. We are riding along with Jensen Randall. That is the first driver to come down and start a hot lap. And he's going to run down this very, very, very long front straightaway, almost 3/4 of a mile long, flat out, down into the heavy braking zone into turn 1. And he cuts that corner a little tight, and he cuts that one even tighter. A little too much turn in on that Mercedes right now. Into sector 2 now, looking a little smoother. Looks like he's finally gained his composure in the car just a little bit. And coming through this section here, through this left-hander, and then you've got these S's that are extremely important. The S's on this track is where you garner a lot of time gained and a lot of time lost, especially during qualifying. Easy to get time penalties throughout the course of this race through that S section where you run. Oh, that was very close, a little bit of snap oversteer. And as I was saying, the S is very easy to go 4 off, run wide coming out of the left-hand portion of the S's. You can lose a lot of time, and it looks like Colin Higgins has left the session. Jensen Randall sets the first time of the qualifying session, 1:14.371. Got SRL Sam at a 1:15.908. Tim Ventic is 1:14.388. So it looks like Sam Brandt was a little bit off the pace. Got another car coming across the line. That was Nick Van Gelder, 1:15.791. Your Marusic, 1:16.263. So really, the only two drivers so far are Jensen Randall and Tim Beckett. They're the only two drivers in the 114s. Looks like we've got a Racing Point getting ready to come across the line. That was Brian Power with a 1:16.679. Yannick Verpetten, 1:19.370, so he's well off the pace. He might take another lap or two to try and get situated with that car. So Andrea runs down into turn 1. He did come across the line, but it looks like maybe his time was invalidated. Was not able to set a time. He's actually out on the medium tires, so he's one of two drivers right now. Alex Benarichetti coming out of the pits. He's on an out lap. He's the only other driver on the medium tires right now. He's in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see what kind of time he can set in the mediums as this goes on. Reese March going out on an out lap. Colin Higgins is still in the pit. We're going to pick up Ivan Brito making his triumphant return. He had to step away earlier this season due to some personal matters. Had to step away from league racing altogether. Whatever issues he had going, hopefully he's got them situated. It's good to see him back on track. He was always a crowd favorite. Really nice guy. Picked up a very, very good win in IRL F3 earlier in the season. See what he can do here today. Usually have some of his Portuguese fellows joining in. We've got NFL Addiction Germany on the live chat, along with Ivan Brito, Nick Van Gelder. And it looks like Ivan Brito dives into the pits. So Andrea on a time flat. It looks like he's a little bit off the pace, though. It looks like he's going to let one of the Ferraris go by. That's going to be Sandro Dulius going by. And it looks like Colin Higgins is having some internet issues. He's joined and lost connection and joined and lost connection a number of times now. Higgins currently, car is in the pits, so his car hasn't exactly gone out on track yet. Right on board with Sandro Dulius. Looks like he's got his ERS fully charged. Ready to take a stab at this pole position, trying to put some heat into the tires. Your top three, Jensen Randall, Tim Bentic, and Nick Van Gelder. You see the big difference in time, though. Jensen Randall, Tim Bentic, 1:14.3s. The third fastest driver was Nick Van Gelder with a 1:15.7, so he's 1.5 seconds off of the time. We're going to ride along with Sandro Dulius, see what he can do. And Sandro, as of late, been finding his groove a little bit. He's been getting back into racing a little bit more. He actually did some commentating last week for the SRL GT3 race on Project Cars 2, so good to have him in the booth. A little bit of snap oversteer coming out of that corner. He's been garnering more control of the league, and just how crucial those S's can be. Very hard set of S's to get through. He took it relatively well at the end of the stadium section here. The Mexicans love their baseball, that's for sure. Out of the last corner. And a 1:15.516. Good enough for third quickest. Still 1.2 seconds off of Tim Bentic and Jensen Randall's time. And I see Tim Bentic is on an out lap. We're going to see what he can do here. Looks like he's getting ready to come out of the stadium section, the penultimate corner. Running down the straightaway into turn 1. And Jensen Randall did just set a new time, 1:14.296, so he went a tick quicker than Tim Bentic. And Luke Mathiasen out of nowhere with a 1:13.978, the only driver to crack into the 1:13s. Luke Mathiasen out of nowhere. Oh, and Bentic runs wide through the S's. That's probably going to invalidate his time, and it does. So Bentic giving it a valiant effort, and that drops Nick Van Gelder. Oh, look at Ivan Brito out of nowhere, 1:15.445. He goes a tick quicker than Sandro Dolius. That puts him into 4th. That's a great qualifying effort by him. Nick Van Gelder drops to 6th. And now the only driver to yet set a time is Colin Higgins, who's classified in 16th. He's been having nothing but internet issues so far. Andrea finally sets a time at a 1:29.459, currently on an outlap on the medium tires. Looks like he might be struggling with the car a little bit to try and get that thing to stay on track. Runs into the stadium section. Andrea starting a hot lap now. 3 laps on these medium tires, starting a 3rd lap. Now you see Ben Ricchetti was the only other driver on medium tires. He set a 1:17.336, good enough for 13th on the grid. But it looks like Ben Ricchetti, Reese March, Yannick Verpayten, and Andrea are all struggling to come to grips with this car, or possibly the handling model of this game. Ben Ricchetti classified 13th. That is your Season 2 champion in SRL. Came back last week, finished, 8th at Baku. Andrea into the stadium section, 12 seconds faster than his previous time, so coming to the penultimate corner, we'll see what he can do here, coming back out onto the front stretch. And he comes across, and that's good enough for 8th, 1:15.736, good qualifying effort by him. And he is now the fastest driver on the medium tires. We'll pick up Nick Van Gelder. He's just now starting a hot lap on the softs. Oh, and look at the counter steer he had to put into the wheels. We jump on board with him. Not a great line through that first left-hander. A little bit of counter steer. Van Gelder. Van Gelder's known to have a loose race car. He definitely likes having a loose race car. We've got Fun Oreo on the live chat with us. That's Anthony Johnson. Good to have him with us as always as we're watching Nick Van Gelder head through the S's here in Mexico. And it looks like Van Gelder is almost 2/10 off of his previous time. He's currently 9th quickest on the charts. Like he is struggling with the handling of that car just a little bit, and he is going to dive back into the pits. And SRL Sam Brandt has retired from the session 4 minutes left to play, and I'm going to assume, looks like we've got a yellow flag sector 1 at the pit straight, possibly in the pit entrance. We just saw Nick Van Gelder dive into there, so Sam Brandt must have had an off at that corner. His time is going to be locked in at a 1:15.629, so that's good enough for 7th so far. That's probably going to drop as this qualifying session starts to wind down. Luke Mathiasen is your provisional pole sitter with a 1:13.978. He's the only driver in the 1:13s. Jensen Randall and Tim Bentic are the only two drivers in the 1:14s with 1:14.296 for Jensen, and Tim Bentic, your championship points leader, with a 1:14.388. And now Sandro Dulius tries to join the party with a 1:14.922. That catapults him up to 4th quickest. So he improves his time and his position. Still not good enough to be in the top 3 or on the front row. And it looks like Sandro is going to retire from the session. He just pulled off at the end of turn 1. He's not going to be able to... Oh, no! Now, he retired from the session, but his car went back on track. Ruins the qualifying lap for Brian Power, who we just picked up. I don't think that was Sandro's intention, but his car went AI and back on the track. And now Brian Power has got wing damage on the right front. I'm sorry, on the left front. The end plate is wiped out. And it looks like Brian Power is going to cut the corner there. So he's going to have to head back to the pits, swap on a new wing, and I don't think he's got enough time. Less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds to play in this session, so Brian Power is going to be probably locked in at a 1:16.433. He's trying very hard to get back to the pits. You know he's under the gun right now. He's got to get back there, put a wing on, get back out, do an out lap. And even though Sandro Dulius retired from the session and his car went AI, that may be investigated after the race. See if Brian Power reports that at the end. And Tim Bentic did just improve his time coming across the line, 1:14.113. And it looks like Bentic is probably going to call that a day. So he moves up one spot from 3rd to 2nd. A minute and 30 seconds left to play in this session. Theoretically, he does have enough time to get back around and start one more hot lap if he wanted to try and take a stab at it. And Fun Oreo bringing up a good point. That's why you retire in the pits, and that is correct. And for the most part, most drivers do retire in the pits. It's not often that we see, especially Sandro, retire anywhere else. I guess he thought he was far enough off track that it wouldn't be an issue, but you see Tim Bentic. I think Bentic's going to call it a day. So we'll pick up Jensen Randall. And it looks like Jensen Randall's actually up on his previous time. Not a whole lot. It looks like it was 74 hundredths of a second that he was up. As he heads through the S's. Oh, and he runs wide there, and that's going to invalidate his time, and he is done for the qualifying session. So Jensen Randall, and it looks like he's dropped to 4th quickest. Andrea has gone 3rd quickest with a 1:14.260. Nick Van Gelder improves his time to a 1:14.9. Ivan Barrito's done. Dion Stahl looks like he's possibly done. We'll ride on board with him. Looks like he's actually still on the gas a little bit as he heads through these very tricky S's. Oh, snap oversteer! Oh, no, and Dion Stahl goes into the wall. That's going to ruin his lap. So Dion Stahl, we just jumped on board with him. See if we can pick up Colin Higgins. And Higgins does finally set a time with a 1:16.262. So it looks like this is going to go to Luke Mathiasen. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Oops, sorry about that. I didn't want to do that. So, that being said, it looks like the provisional pole is going to go to Luke Mathiasen. And that is Luke's 6th pole position of the season. And I'm assuming the cars are AI at this point. This is why they're causing carnage, and it looks like one of the cars has been crashed out as Luke's car. Well, that looks like it was Luke's car. So nobody on a hot lap. Time is up. I'm not sure what the game is waiting on. There we go. Luke Mathiasen first, as his car sits disabled on the backstretch. So 6th pole position of the season for Luke Mathiasen. Tim Ventic will be starting in 2nd. Andrea will be starting in 3rd, making his SRL debut. Jensen Randall in 4th. Nick Van Gelder 5th. Sandro Dulius is 6th. Ivan Brito making his return is in 7th. Alex Benaritetti is in 8th. Dion Stahl 9th. Sam Brandt is 10th. Jurma Rusic, Robin Herderstagen, Colin Higgins, Brian Power, Reese March, and Yannick Verpaeten is rounding out your 16 drivers for today's race. And Sandro Dulius on the live chat apologizing to Brian Power for his AI car. And that did, I will say, that did ruin Brian's qualifying lap. Whether or not he would have improved his time, we won't know. It looks like we've got ourselves a little bit of an overcast day. Not sure if rain's going to be a factor. I don't get to look at the weather forecast for today's race. Perhaps Sandro or somebody will be able to enlighten me, but it looks like we've definitely got some clouds in the sky. So track temperature is going to be down at the beginning of this race. Now, Baku last week started off in the wet, and everybody decided to start that race on slick tires. And they fought through it for the first 8 laps or so. The rain went away. Salim Haddad, unfortunately, made a decision to get onto the intermediates late in that wet session, and then had to come back in. But he is not with us today, and Salim Haddad ended up having a DNF last week. It was his 3rd DNF in a row, and his 3rd one of the season. So we wait for the game to reset. So Luke Mathiasen sitting on pole position. That's good for Luke. Last week he had a bit of a rage quit heading into turn 2 at Baku, where he got crashed on lap 1. So we'll see what happens today as we run down the running order once again here on the formation lap. Luke Mathiasen with a 6th pole position of the season. Starting at the top spot, he's going to want to make up for last week where he rage quit and came home 13th. He'll be looking to walk away with a win today for sure. Tim Ventic starting in the 2nd spot. Your championship points leader needs 4 or more points. Actually, I'm sorry, he needs more than 4 points above his contender, Nick Van Gelder, to lock in the championship today. Andrea making his SRL debut, the Italian, very quick in qualifying, starting in the 3rd spot. We'll see what he can do today. And Jensen Randall coming off back-to-back podium finishes at round 16 and round 15, Monza and Baku. See if he can do it again as he's starting in the 4th spot. Nick Van Gelder is your championship contender, 2nd in points. Your defending F1 champion needs to finish in front of Tim Ventic and score 4 or more points than him in order to stay in contention. Right now, he is mathematically the only driver in contention for this year's championship, going up against Tim Ventic. Sandro Dulius starting in 6th. He had that issue in qualifying with his AI car. We'll see if he can work his way through the field, possibly snatch a podium away from everybody. And Ivan Brito with a good qualifying effort, starting in the 7th spot, making his SRL re-debut, making his comeback race. He's missed the last few rounds due to some personal matters. Good to have him back on track. Alex Benarichetti is starting in 8th, your SRL F1 champion from Season 2, starting in the 8th spot in the Alfa Romeo. Dion Stahl is going to be starting in 9th. We'll see if he can work his way through the field. Sam Brandt is going to be in 10th, coming off of his best finish of the year, 4th from Baku last round. And then rounding out your 16 drivers, Sam Brandt will be starting in 11th. Robin Herderstagen is 12th. Colin Higgins, who had internet issues in qualifying, will be starting in 13th. Brian Power, who had that issue with Sandro Dulius' AI car, will be in 14th. Reese March, 15th. And Yannick Verpaeten starting at the back of the grid in the 16th spot. So we'll wait for the 5 red lights. Five red lights, here we go. Lights are out, time to run, which have brung in their way in a puff of smoke. And it looks like Tim Bentic got a great start over Luke Mathiasen. And now it's a drag race down this long straightaway. And here comes Andrea on the outside, and they're going to be 4 wide as they head into the corner. Jensen Reynolds all the way to the inside. He makes contact with Ventic. Ventic's going to muscle his way through. And Andrea drops from 3rd to 5th, and then a little bit of snap oversteer from Nick Van Gelder. Tim Bentic is able to pull away. Luke Mathiasen has lost 2 positions in the opening couple of corners. Jensen Reynolds to the inside trying to keep 2nd place. Andrea works his way back into 4th. And we've got SRL Sam, that Sam Brown has dropped through the field. We've got ourselves a virtual safety car already. Oh, and it looks like that is Dion Stahl who's going around in the Ferrari. He's got loads of wing damage on both end plates. Nick Van Gelder is dropped all the way down to 10th. The top 4 spots, though, Tim Ventic, Luke Mathiasen, Jensen Floyd, and Andrea all working really hard to get the positions from each other. So Andrea showing some speed here in his SRL debut. We'll see when we go back to green flag racing. And Alex Benarichetti dives into the pits, and we are back to green flag racing. Jensen Randall had the go pedal down as he's going to try and go around the outside of Luke Mathiasen. He's going to cut back in. Andrea is right behind him in the Toro Rosso. Meanwhile, Tim Ventic has checked out. And here comes Jensen Randall to the inside of Mathiasen. Looks like he thought better of that. It looks like he definitely could have outbraked him and stuffed that car down the inside, but didn't do it. And we ride along with him through these very tricky S's. A lot of time gained and lost through these very tricky S's, especially in the 2nd sector. Very easy to run 4 off coming out of that corner. And you see just how much time Jensen Randall lost to Luke Mathiasen in that section, but Mathiasen has actually gained half a second in Sector 2 alone as he's trying to catch back up to Tim Ventic. Ventic, though, has got that low drag set up, and we've got Reese March and Nick Van Gelder. Oh, no! And Reese March gives Van Gelder a little bit of a love tap there. So Van Gelder is struggling here early on. Reese March to the outside, and it's a drag race down the front straightaway. This is Brian Power and Reese March. Brian Power in that Racing Point. Van Gelder is in that. Van Gelder's in that Red Bull as he gets past Reese March for the 11th spot. Oh, but again, March is coming back to the inside. So Reese not making things easy for Nick Van Gelder as Van Gelder tries to stay in championship contention. But right now, he's nowhere near Tim Ventic. So Ventic is looking to lock up this championship today. Oh, and Jensen Randall's just picked up a 3-second time penalty. Currently running in 3rd. He's being pursued by Andrea Atrella, the Italian. I'm just going to call him Andrea for now because that last name's a little tough. As Hector says in Fast and the Furious, he's got a last name too, but I don't know how to pronounce it. And Luke Mathiasen just ran the fastest lap at a 1:18.228, so you can see what race pace is versus the 1:13 time that he set for pole position. And Andrea looking to make a move on Jensen Randall as he heads into turn 1 down that very long straightaway. And Andrea up into 3rd. Meanwhile, Colin Higgins and Jure Marusic going side by side through turns 1 and 2. Whoa, and around the outside goes Higgins. Marusic is going to try the crossover move down the second straightaway here, and it's still a drag race as they both got DRS advantage. Brian Power just picked up a 3-second time penalty as well, and around the outside, which is going to become the inside. Marusic and Higgins battling it out. This is the battle for 8th. And it looks like Higgins will prevail, and Nick Van Gelder finally getting around Reese March as they head into the S's. Reese March not giving up on that 10th spot, though. Ooh, Reese trying to go around the outside of the S's. Not a good idea. He's going to go to the inside as they come down this short straightaway here. And into the stadium section. March is still on the outside, which is now going to be the inside. And Van Gelder holds him off. But now Reese March will have the DRS advantage as they head down this long straightaway. And to the outside goes Reese March. So Van Gelder falling in and out of that 10th spot. Brian Power making a pit stop. Meanwhile, we've got Colin Higgins and Robin Herterstegen not giving up on this battle. And that is Jure Marusic now. So that's a 3-car battle for the 7th spot. Herterstegen in the Racing Point, Colin Higgins in the Renault, and Jure Marusic is just starting to show his face in that Red Bull. That's Nick Van Gelder's teammate. Meanwhile, Van Gelder and Reese March have not separated themselves very much here. And it looks like Van Gelder's actually got some wing damage on that left front. Looks like the end plate's actually gone on that wing. So that would explain why Van Gelder's having a little bit of a struggle here with pace. You usually don't see him this deep in the field. And that's not an insult to the other drivers like Reese March. Reese March showing himself to be a little scrappy here today in Mexico as he's held off Van Gelder. And Van Gelder's seen some sliding out of that last corner. And he's lost a lot of time now to Reese March for the 10th spot. He's fallen off 2 seconds just on that lap. Meanwhile, we've got Jensen Randall and Andrea Loatrella fighting for 3rd. Working lap 6 of 36. And it looks like Sam Brandt has closed in on Alex Betterichetti. Uh-oh, and it looks like, look at this, Nick Van Gelder just lost a spot to Yannick Verpayten. So Van Gelder's losing more time on track, as it were, if he would just pit and switch over to a new wing. But he hasn't gone in yet. We see, and that's Yannick Verpayten. He's on the hard tires. So if you've gotten passed by Yannick on hard tires, and that's not an insult to Yannick, but Van Gelder is a Class A driver. He's definitely losing a lot of time on track. Van Gelder continuing to struggle. He's now dropped to 12th. So Van Gelder should definitely make a pit stop. Meanwhile, we've got a battle materializing for the lead of this race. Luke Mathiasen has started to close in on Tim Ventic. And this is really the battle that I would have wanted to see this year. Unfortunately, Luke didn't make all the races this year. The races that he has made, despite Baku last week, he has capitalized on. Luke Mathiasen with 6 pole positions, 3 wins, 4 podiums. So it would have been good. Those are the races that he's made. Despite Tim Ventic, Ventic has made just about every race this year. Ventic's got 5 wins and 10 podiums to his credit. So definitely a championship points battle could have been had, but the races that Luke Mathiasen missed has definitely dropped him through the points order. But we've got ourselves a relatively good battle here, and that's Jensen Randall in 3rd. Andrea pitted from the 4th spot as he was battling it out with Jensen. That's going to move Sandro Dulius up into the 4th spot, and we see Jensen starting to close in on this battle. But the soft tires are going to start to give up here Between now, laps 7 to 9 is really the pit window for the soft tires. We see a lot of guys have already pitted over to the mediums, but that was from Andreas coming out on the medium tires. Some guys had to pit early because of wing damage in the virtual safety car from lap 1 when Dion Stahl got spun around. And Ben Gelder did finally pit and come back out. He's dropped all the way to 16th, and his championship hopes are diminishing as this race goes on. Your leader, Tim Ventic, is also your championship points leader. Dyson runs very wide coming through that S. So now it's a game of chicken. Who's going to pit first? Does anybody try to undercut the other, or are they going to pit at the same time? Who's going to pull the trigger on a pit stop? And they both come in at the same time. Ventic right in front of Luke Mathias, and Jensen Randall's going to stay out. We're going to see if he can capitalize on this in the next couple laps. So Jensen Randall and Sandro Dulius both stay out. Andrea getting around Robin Herderstegen. Oh, it's a three-car battle here. That's Colin Higgins, who is up into 5th. And Luke Mathias gets a 3-second time penalty from race control. And Andrea makes that pass easily as they head down into the next corner. That's going to move him into 4th on those new medium tires. See, Colin Higgins was on the worn softs. He's got Robin Herderstegen behind him. And Dion Stahl picks up a 3-second time penalty. Luke Mathias trying to keep pace, and Luke has switched over to another set of soft tires. So Mathias looking, he's going to have to make another pit stop for sure. Mathiasen makes the pass heading down into turn 1. That is essentially going to be the pass for the lead of this race when Sandro Dulius and Jensen Randall finally decide to pit, whenever that may be. Now Mathiasen's going to have to separate himself by a huge gap if he wants to try and retain the lead of this race. The pit stop delta here is about 19-20 seconds. It's a relatively short one, maybe 18 seconds, depending on how quick your pit crew is. So he's going to need a huge gap in order to try and capitalize on these soft tires. Can he separate himself that much in the next 10 laps before he has to pit again, because he's still got to make the switch over to a different compound per the FIA rules. Looks like we've got a couple of other guys on the live chat. Daniel Spotty, he says, looks like he's rooting for Andrea and Alex Benarichetti. Max Mulder diving in, chiming in. Gavin rooting for Tim Bentic, currently running in the 4th spot. Brian Power just picked up a 3-second time penalty, and it looks like Sandro Dulius has finally dived into the pits. He's going to switch over to the hard tires, so he's going to run them all the way to the end. So he's one of 3 drivers on the hards. The other 2 drivers is Ivan Brito and Yannick Verpayten. They're both deep in the field, 12th and 13th respectively. So we're going to see how the front runners are going to fare with the hard tires. Sandro Dulius is going to be the guinea pig. Looks like Colin Higgins has switched over to the hard tires as well. And it looks like he served a time penalty while he was in there. So Jensen Randall is still your leader. He's out on a very worn set of softs. 13 seconds behind him is going to be Luke Mathiasen. He is still battling it out with Tim Bentic. And Bentic not letting Mathiasen get away. Through the S's now. We do have a battle going on between Ivan Brito and Ben Ricchetti and Colin Higgins. It's actually a 3-car battle for the 10th spot. Now, Brito's on the hard tires. Ben Ricchetti is on the mediums. And it looks like he's in a hard tire sandwich as Colin Higgins is behind him on the hard tires as well. So 3-car battle for 10th spot. And behind that is Dion Stahl. He's starting to close in on that. So it's about to become a 4-car battle for 1 point. Every championship point counts. And Tim Bentic and Luke Mathiasen still battling it out. Now, Mathiasen has not been able to pull away from Tim Bentic on the soft tires. And Mathiasen making that pit stop, switching over to the... Well, he didn't switch over. He stayed on the soft tires. So he'll have to pit again. I guess he's hoping for fresher tires towards the end of this race. It looks like Reese March and Sam Brandt, the 2 Haas cars, looks like they're going to double stack the pits. There goes Sam and Reese just now pulling out, so they double stack the Haas pits. So I guess Mathiasen's looking to have some fresher tires towards the end of this race. Jensen Randall has pitted. So here comes Mathiasen and Bentic. So Randall's going to drop into 3rd spot. The question is going to be where does Andrea come out in all of this? It looks like Andrea's going to take the 3rd spot away from Jensen Randall. So he stayed out too long on those soft tires. Switches over to the mediums, and he is now... He is 4 seconds behind Andrea for the 3rd spot, and the battle for the lead continues. And really, if you look at it, this is an inconsequential battle for the lead because Luke Mathiasen still needs to make another pit stop. Oh, and Colin Higgins has left the session. This car is currently running in the 12th spot. Looks like he's having internet issues again. He had some issues in qualifying, so it looks like they've continued into this race. And Yannick has just dropped a bunch of spots. He got passed by a number of drivers. Oh no, and Yannick with a love tap, and that is Colin Higgins' car. And I don't... Higgins' car is AI at this point. That is too bad for Yannick. He's continuing to struggle throughout the course of the season. He hasn't made a whole lot of races. He enjoys racing. He's a very passionate fellow. Listening to him in a driver chat is actually quite entertaining. So, but unfortunate for him, he's just had some contact with the AI car of Colin Higgins and broke his front wing. Back to the battle for the lead now. Oh, and Sam Brandt picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's a little out of character for Sam. So working lap 14 of 36, now halfway through this race. Luke Mathiasen is your leader, being pursued by Tim Bentic, your championship points leader. And he is looking to lock up the championship today, as his closest contender in the point standings is Nick Van Gelder, who is all the way down in 15th spot. Oh, and Van Gelder's had an issue. Looks like he might have had an issue with Brian Power. And now Van Gelder is down into 16th, so... Van Gelder needed to score 4 or more points today over Tim Bentic to stay within mathematical contention for the championship, but that is not going to happen today. At least it doesn't look like, unless something crazy happens in the second half of this race. So I'm not sure how much of a battle this is. We ride along with Tim Bentic, and he might just be biding his time, knowing that Luke Mathiasen has to pit again, and will have to pit here in the next few laps. He's got 6 laps on those soft tires. So the pit window on the softs opens up around 7 to 9 is your optimum pit strategy to switch off of the soft tires. You saw Jensen Randall run them as long as 12 laps. And I think we saw Sandro Dulius early in the race run them 10 or 11 laps before he made his pit stop, before they start to really fall off. So he knows Mathiasen has to make another pit stop. Now he's going to have the DRS advantage as they head down this front straightaway. We'll see if he decides to try and make a move down the end of this long front straightaway, 3/4 of a mile long. All the way to the inside. You see, he gets out of the slipstream, so that tells me he is just biding his time and waiting for Luke to have to make the pit stop. He's not going to do anything unnecessary to try and get around him over the next number of laps. So it's a battle, but it's not a battle. It's more of a battle of wits than it is of determination. We're going to ride along with Sandro Dulius as he's looking to make the pass of Robin Herderstegen. Herderstegen having a good run into 5th, and now he's side by side with Dulius as they head down into turn 1. And Sandro's going to slam the door on him, take that pass on the outside. And that moves Sandro into the 5th spot. And it looks like Nick Van Gelder and Yannick Verpayten having a little bit of a scrap here for the 15th spot. Looks like Yannick is still out there with that wing damage. It looks like the end plate is gone on the left front, but that moves Van Gelder into 15th position. Reese March is now closed up on Colin Higgins' AI car. Oh no, and the same thing that happened to Yannick has just happened to Reese. And now his teammate Sam Brandt is going to get a 2-for-1 deal as he goes around Reese March and Colin Higgins. And Higgins' car is AI. And the same thing that happened to Yannick has now happened to Reese March. He's got left front end plate damage on that Haas. So Colin Higgins' car, even though Colin is not here, is becoming a moving roadblock of sorts, as the AI car has caused havoc for Reese March and Yannick Verpayten. Meanwhile, we'll pick up Tim Bentic once again. And Yerma Rusic has just dived into the pits. He's going to switch it over to a fresh set of hard, so that's going to move Alex Benerichetti up into the 9th spot. And Daniel Spatty is on the live chat saying Tim's just saving his ERS and his fuel, and he'll attack when he dives into the pits. And yeah, it does seem like Tim right now is just out on a Sunday drive. I guess this is Yannick Verpayten that they're trying to get around. Guess it is. And oh, Yannick. Yannick struggling with that car a little bit. Back to your non-battle for the lead. Tim Bentic running in second, running nose to tail with Luke Mathiasen. This is really a testament to the type of driver Tim Bentic is. I mean, he's on the medium tires. We ride along with him, and he's just out for a Sunday drive, minimal input into the steering wheel. He's adjusting his settings on the steering wheel, and he's just kind of cruising along here in second spot. Just kind of conserving everything. Luke Mathiasen, on the other hand, Mathiasen's on the hard tire, or I'm sorry, he's on the soft tires. Oh, and Brian Powers retired from the session. And virtual safety car because of it. We do have a little bit of a battle here for the 7th spot. So Brian Power again with another DNF, unfortunately. Oh no, it looks like did Dion Stahl just make contact with Herterstegen? And yeah, Dion Stahl's right front wing. Oh no, back to green, and he's got end plate damage just as we pick that up. And Dion Stahl is going to have to pit for a new front wing. You see Joe Marusic coming into the background there, so he's going to lose a couple of spots, switching over to a new set of shoes and getting a new front wing. And that's disappointing. Dion Stahl trying to keep pace with Robin Herterstegen. Oh my goodness, 3 cars here. That is Ivan Brito, or is that Ben Ricchetti? That is Ben Ricchetti in the 12th spot. He's got the leaders all over the back of him. And it looks like Luke Mathiasen is going to dive into the pits, and that is going to hand over the lead to Tim Ventic. And moving up into 2nd spot is Andrea Atrella, something of that nature. The Italian moves into 2nd spot. Andrea making his SRL debut, and he makes a little bit of contact with the Ferrari of Sandro Dulius. No, that was Dion Stahl as he came out of the pits. And Andrea is going to drop a couple of spots, and that is unfortunate. And Dion's going to be kicking himself. What is happening to me? What do I have to do to stay out of the way? Dion Stahl, unfortunately, struggling here in the last couple of laps. Andrea drops to 3rd. Still a good run for him. He's able to hang on to that 3rd spot despite the contact. He was up into 2nd. And Dion Stahl, just to add insult to injury, picks up a 3-second time penalty for cutting the corner. So Dion Stahl really getting the knuckle in the back on that one. So now your running order is Tim Ventic, and Ventic is going to dive into the pits. Now that's an interesting strategy I wasn't expecting. I thought he would have ran these mediums longer. Swaps over to a new set of shoes, serving a time penalty, and away he goes. So that moves Andrea into the 2nd spot. See if he can actually stay there this time. And now the battle, Luke Mathiasen gets in front of Tim Ventic once again. Ventic just now coming out of the pits. So surprisingly, Mathiasen, despite his alternate tire strategy, went softs to mediums. And is he off the pace? Mathiasen looks like he is going relatively slow. Mathiasen having an issue with the car, or possibly with his rig at home or his controller, because he just lost a huge chunk of time to Tim Ventic. Or is he just letting Tim catch up so they can race together? Seemed a bit odd there. Now it looks like Luke is up to full song. Are the viewers as confused as I am? It seemed a little odd from Luke Mathiasen's point. He had about 2.5 second gap over Tim Ventic. And looks like for all intents and purposes, it looks like he let Tim catch back up to him. So it seemed a bit odd to me, but your leader is Jensen Randall. He's in the stadium section, out in front to the tune of 8.5 seconds over Andrea Atrella. SRL, Trella. Just going to eventually stop bothering with that last name. The Italian is running in second. Luke Mathiasen is third, followed closely by Tim Ventic in fourth. Then you've got a big gap back to Sandro Dulius, who's essentially running all by his lonesome. He's 8.5 seconds back from fourth, and he's 21.5 seconds in front of Ivan Brito. Ivan Brito having a good run into sixth, making his SRL comeback race for the season. Robin Herderstagen is in the seventh spot. Irma Rusic is running in eighth. And Sam Brandt, who we just saw pick up a 3-second time penalty a moment ago, running in the ninth spot. And Alex Bedrichetti rounding out your top 10 points paying positions. And quietly, Nick Van Gelder has moved his way back into the 11th spot. Really inconsequential at this point, but a championship point would certainly be a little bit of a saving grace on the day that he has had. As he is closing in on Bedrichetti, a couple of SRL OGs here racing for the 10th spot. Bedrichetti is your Season 2 champion. Van Gelder is Season 4 champion. And actually his Season 4 and defending champion, that is. As his championship hopes slip away through this race. So everything seems to be at a little bit of a standstill. This is about the only battle on track right now. Tim Ventic and Luke Mathiasen running third and fourth. There's not much of a gap in between those two drivers, but it doesn't seem that Ventic is looking to make a move to get around Mathiasen for whatever reason. And you see Colin Higgins, that is the AI car of Colin Higgins, as he's left the session, and then he makes contact with his teammate. So Higgins' car continuing to be a rolling roadblock. So almost had a moment there. Oh no, and that was the spinning car. Looks like that was Dion Stahl that's going around. And Dion trying to get out of the racing line. So Dion Stahl letting one of the leaders go by. That's his teammate, Sandro Dulius, going by in the other Ferrari. So rough day for Dion. And it looks like Van Gelder and Bedrichetti still battling it out for this 10th spot. Van Gelder did get around, and Bedrichetti trying to make a comeback move. Get back down to the inside. Ooh, he's going to try and outbrake him. It's not going to work. Van Gelder's got the more preferred line. Crossover move by Bedrichetti. And Bedrichetti's not close enough to dive into the inside. And Ivan Brito just picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's going to be inconsequential right now as he's currently running in the 6th spot. Well ahead of Robin Herderstagen in 7th. And it looks like Bedrichetti has lost out on this battle to Van Gelder. That moves Nick Van Gelder into the points finally here on lap 25 of 36. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall is still your leader to the tune of 10.1 seconds over Andrea. And Andrea is starting to lose a little bit of time to Luke Mathiasen and Tim Ventic. These two running together. And it looks like Andrea's dived into the pits. He's going to switch over. We'll see what kind of tires he puts on. He's got the ability to switch back over to the softs, and it looks like he's going to switch over to the soft tires. Let's see if he can close that gap back up to Luke Mathiasen and Tim Ventic. Now there's a 16-second gap, almost 17-second gap that separates Jensen Randall and Luke Mathiasen and Tim Ventic. Battle for the lead of this race. Meanwhile, Sandro Dulius closed in within a second of Andrea as Andrea came out of the pits. But Andrea's got these soft tires on the car. So I don't think there's going to be much of a battle here. As you see, Sandro is on some worn out hard tires. 15 laps on those hards. He'll probably run them all the way to the end of this race. Meanwhile, Van Gelder and Benerichetti have not given up on this battle for the last remaining point on the grid. Beneritchetti's gotten around Van Gelder. Van Gelder trying to make a comeback here. He's got the SRL. He's got the DRS slot open, and he dives to the inside heading into turn 1. And look at Benerichetti hang tough. And then the inside becomes the outside, and the outside becomes the inside. Benerichetti gets the power down. Sneaks back out in front, but Van Gelder's still going to have the DRS advantage as they head down this second straightaway here. And to the inside, big lockup on that left front. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact there. Benerichetti still hanging tough. And around the outside goes Van Gelder. Not going to make it work. A little bit of snap oversteer. And now they're nose to tail as they head into the S section. This is not where you want to be nose to tail. Going to get a lot of aero wash off of the car in front of you, so Van Gelder wisely backs off a little bit. Benerichetti runs a little bit wide coming out of that last sweeping left-hander. Down the short back straightaway, into the stadium section. And Van Gelder's going to come back around. He's going to have the DRS advantage once again as they head out onto the front stretch. Benerichetti gets the power down. It gets a good run coming out of that last corner. There's a bit of separation now between him and Van Gelder. Van Gelder got everything going. He's using the ERS, the DRS. He's not close enough to make a move this time. Oh, heavy and late on the brakes. Closed that gap back up. Andrea just ran the fastest lap of this race at a 1:16.459. And Van Gelder continuing to struggle with the rear grip of that car. He likes a loose race car, but sometimes it's a little too loosey-goosey. Dominic Payton has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's currently running in the 15th spot. He's actually the last car running, as your only DNF for today has been Brian Power. Unfortunately, Brian Power picking up his 9th DNF of the season. Van Gelder still struggling with that car a little bit. His day has been... You just see how much oversteer is in that car as the back end wants to come around. Is he going to be close enough to make a move this time? I don't think so. He definitely closes up that gap in the braking zone. Benerichetti seems to hit the brakes a little bit sooner, backs the corner up to him, if you will. Van Gelder a little deeper and harder onto the brakes. You can hear those tires starting to just try and bite. And the gap is now starting to fall. Jensen Randall, who's had about 18 seconds over second place, is now down to 14.5 to Luke Mathiasen. It looks like Luke and Tim are... Well, they've caught up to the battle between Nick Van Gelder and Alex Benerichetti, so... It's 3 wide. Nick trying to make a move to pick up a point. Granted, they're lap cars, but they are battling for position. Mathiasen and Ventig is a very precarious situation for them to be in. And Mathiasen's going to try and go up the middle, split them, and thread the needle.
Van Gelder's to the inside. He's trying to make the move on Benarachetti. Ventic goes around the outside. And now look at this. Benarachetti and Van Gelder lock wheels. Oh, no! And Ventic gets tapped by Benarachetti. Oh, and he gets hit again. Van Gelder comes out on top, picking up the 10th spot. Luke Mathiasen able to scoot away from Tim Ventic. And Ventic's got himself end plate damage. And Benarachetti lets Ventic go by. And that had Bad News Bears written all over it, as it was a 4-car battle. I mean, essentially you've got Van Gelder and Benarachetti having their own battle, Mathiasen and Ventic having whatever battle that it is that they were having. They've basically just been playing follow the leader for the past number of laps. So whatever the case may be, Tim Ventic now finds himself 3+ seconds back from Luke Mathiasen. So the question is, Mathiasen slow down and let Ventic catch back up for whatever reason? Or does Mathiasen try to put the power down and close that gap in the closing laps of this race and snatch that win away from Jensen Randall? And it looks like Mathiasen is starting to pick up the pace and put that power down. He's now under 13 seconds to Jensen Randall. Randall on 19 lap-old mediums versus 11 lap-old mediums on Mathiasen's car. Mathiasen, obviously a very fast driver. He's proven that time and time again throughout the course of this season. Multiple pole positions, multiple wins, multiple podium finishes. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of help here from Yannick Verpayten, who picks up a little bit of slipstream, and Benarachetti has just picked up a 3-second time penalty. That's too bad. Benarachetti switching there. He did make a pit stop. He switched over to the soft tires. Yannick coming out on soft tires. So those guys are probably going to try to take a stab at the fastest lap. And Tim Ventic is 5 seconds behind. Now, for what it's worth, Andrea is starting to close in on this. Now, he is on 6 lap-old softs, but he is within striking distance, a second and a half back of Tim Ventic. So Andrea could snatch away this podium position from Tim Ventic. So we're going to keep an eye on the timing and scoring between these two. Andrea closing in. Oh, we've got ourselves a safety car. Why is the safety car out? What has happened? It looks like Van Gelder maybe had a little bit of a scrap with somebody. This has just changed the complexion of this race big time. Why did the safety car come out? And Andrea and Tim Ventic dive into the pits. They're both going to switch over to the soft tires. I didn't even get an indication that there was a yellow flag in any of the sectors. Just immediately a safety car. I have to believe it had something to do with Van Gelder's car. Van Gelder diving into the pits. 25 lap-old mediums. He's got the Ferrari pitting behind him. The Ferrari's double stack. Looks like that was Dion Stahl. He's going to get out in front of Sandro. Oops, Sandro was the first one out. Lucky for him. So Dion Stahl double stacked the pits. So we're going to have ourselves a good old-fashioned NASCAR green-white checker, it looks like. And Anthony Johnson says it's sprint time once again. That is true. It seems like once a week, or every week I should say, we run into this. And Jensen Randall's going to dive into the pits. Where is Mathiasen? Mathiasen diving into the pits as well. So where's Andrea? He's too far behind. And there is Ivan Brito. He's passing the safety car now. Safety car is going to pick up the leader. Weird situation. I am not 100% sure as to what happened, but for whatever reason, the safety car has come out. Now, you do see that there's a DNF listed. That is Brian Power in the 16th spot. Brian Power DNF'd many laps ago, so I don't know what the safety car was for. I didn't get an indication that there was a yellow in any of the sectors. I feel like it had something to do with Nick Van Gelder. I'm sure Van Gelder had it off. I don't know if they brought it out due to debris, but it looks like we're going to have a 2-lap shootout. This has just changed the complexion of this race big time. Safety cars in this lap. 10-second time penalty for Benarachetti for exceeding the track limits. He's currently in 10th, so that's going to cost him. So Jensen Randall's going to be your control car. And lucky for him, he's got another 10-second time. There's all kinds of time penalties. Time penalty for Jurgen Marusic. Time penalty for Reese March. 10 seconds, 5 seconds. Sandro Dulius, 10 seconds for exceeding the track limits. Sandro currently running in 5th, so that could have huge implications on him. And here we go, 2-lap shootout. Jensen Randall back on the gas, and he's going to make a huge gap. And then you've got this whole flock of cars here. Leviathan pulls out to make a move on the lap car. You see all the lap cars trying to dive to the inside. So here's the battle we got going on. This is Andrea trying to catch up to Luke Mathiasen. And Jensen Randall just picked up a 3-second time penalty. That could cost him the win of this race. So the intensity is really ramped up here in the last couple of laps on this restart. So Luke Mathiasen right now has got himself a win. As long as he doesn't fall out of that 3-second range, I don't think Luke Mathiasen's got time penalty. And really, Jensen Randall could be looking at a 3rd place finish if Andrea can keep pace with Luke Mathiasen, but he's not going to be able to. Luke is on the gas. Tim Ventic closing in on Andrea for that 3rd spot. And Luke Mathiasen just ran the fastest lap of this race. He is pushing hard to try and close that gap to Jensen Randall. And everybody pitted, I would say just about everybody pitted on that last safety car, with the exception of Jurgen Marusic. Jurgen Marusic stayed out on hard tires. We got a 3-car battle here for the 8th spot. That's Robin Herderstegen in the Racing Point, Sam Brandt in the Haas, and Benarachetti poking his nose out on that Alfa Romeo. Now Benarachetti picked up that time penalty under the safety car, tries to get to the inside of Sam Brandt. Brandt holds him off. And Andrea has closed up. He's within a second now of Luke Mathiasen. And Sam Brandt just picked up a 3-second time penalty, so the midfield is going to get shuffled big time because of all the time penalties. And down into the stadium section, does Andrea have anything for Luke Mathiasen in the last few quarters of this race? I don't think he's going to. Here comes Jensen Randall. Now Randall's going to cross the line in first. I don't think he's going to stay there. Here comes Luke Mathiasen. Luke's going to pick up the win. Oh, and Tim Ventic picks up the win because of time penalties from 4th spot. Unbelievable. Sandro Dulius comes across in 5th. Ivan Brito will be coming across in 6th. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Tim Ventic, because of time penalties, 4th to 1st. Luke Mathiasen is 2nd. Jensen Randall with his 3rd straight 3rd place finish in a row. And then Andrea
coming home in 4th because of time penalties. Sandro Dulius is 5th. Ivan Brito on his SRL comeback race, 6th. That's a good outing for him. Jurgen Marusic, 20-lap-old hards, comes across in 7th, and we'll run down the unofficial results for you in just a moment. I can't believe it. Tim Ventic snatches the win away. And as they say, slow and steady wins the race. Ventic coming across the line in 4th. But because of time penalties, picks up that win, and that is going to... He's got no wing on the car. And it should be said that that's not only the race win, but that is a lock in the championship. Tim Ventic has just locked up this championship, so congratulations to him. Round 17 here at Mexico. Locks up the championship, so he's going to be your Season 5 champion here in SRL. So here's the unofficial results as of now. Tim Ventic, Luke Mathiasen, Jensen Floyd, Andrea, Sandro Dulius, Ivan Brito, Jurgen Marusic, Robin Herderstagen, Sam Brandt, Alex Benarichetti, Nick Van Gelder falls out of the points, Reese March, Colin Higgins, Dion Stahl, Yannick Verpayten, and Brian Power, the lone DNF of today. And Van Gelder's on the live chat. What a frustrating race, and I feel your pain. I'm sure that is not how you wanted that to go. Wow, so this has been round 17 here, Mexico. SRL Season 5, F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. Congratulations to Tim Ventic on not only picking up the win of this race because of time penalties from the 4th spot, but also locking up the championship. And he is going to be your Season 5 champion. Now, just because the championship battle is over, we've still got a lot of racing left to go this season. This has only been round 17. In 2 weeks' time, you can pick up round 18, the Canadian Grand Prix, Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. We're going to be running round 18. That's in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to be running the 2.4 hours of Spa on Project Cars 2 in the GT3 cars, so be sure to check that out. I'll be racing in that. Sandro Dulius will be your commentator for that race. You can also check out last week's 1.2 hours of Bathurst, where Sam Brandt picked up a very long-awaited SRL win. It was a good race for him. I came home 5th. Nick Van Gelder was 4th that race. So be sure to check out that GT3 action next week at Spa. 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada for round 18 of SRL. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. And be sure to check us out on Instagram. I don't know what the handle is for that. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's in the description, but it's out there. Somebody, I'm sure, knows what it is. So, but guys, this has been an exciting round. I look forward to doing it again next week. Congratulations to Tim Ventic, your championship winner and race winner. Congrats to Nick Van Gelder, trying to make a hard-fought stab at this throughout the course of the season. Unfortunately, he came up short today. So, but second place is still up for grabs between Van Gelder, Luke Mathiasen, and really exciting race today from Andrea, making his SRL debut. He was in contention for the podium. Unfortunately, time penalties kicked him out of that. Look forward to seeing him on track more often. Looks like he's a pretty quick driver. The Italian and the Toro Rosso seems to be a good fit. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. This has been SRL. We will see you guys at the next round.